On September 11th, 2001, the United States of America and the world changed forever. A team of 4 Islamic extremists of the militant group Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 planes, 2 of which flew into the World Trade Center, leading to its eventual collapse. 1 flew into the Pentagon, leading to its partial collapse, and 1 was taken back by the passengers, and it crashed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It was one of the darkest days in American history. The immediate effects on the country were noticeable in every regard. It kick-started the war on terror moments afterwards, the invasion of Iraq in 2003, and hate crimes against sometimes not even Arabic or Islamic people. The negative effect of 9/11 on the world is undeniable, and it led directly into the world we live in today. But fuck all that. Osama bin Laden was right, y'all. He was angry at the United States' endorsement of Israel, military presence in Saudi Arabia, and oppressing prominently Muslim people in their native soil. So it's too bad that he became the world record hide-and-seek champion for over a decade, because he was 100% right. If you think I'm sounding really fucked up right now, and oblivious to all the tragedy and death, now you know what it's like to listen to people who took the wrong message out of the wrong Jedi arc of the Clone Wars. And I don't even like the Clone Wars. Not anymore, at least. A while ago, I made a video about people who unironically defended the Galactic Empire. A cesspit of mental gymnastics I used to find myself in. It seems like there's a trend to defend the bad guys in any fictional story, and in fact, apparently there's a name for this sort of thinking. It's called Draco and Leather Pants, where people spin immoral crimes villains in stories perform as secret heroism, or saying that they're not as bad as they're presented in the story for absolutely bullshit reasons, or not understanding how ethics work. I think it's easy to have a hot take on a fictional story because it's fiction, and it's easier to be lucid towards fictional characters than it is to real-life figures. But to be honest, while there can be an evil as cool aspect to countless fictional villains, that does not make them the good guys. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but it can be hard to analyze morally great decisions in stories if we can't filter out the overtly good or bad choices first. So with all that being said, let's talk about the second most contentious topic, Barriss Offee, or at least the completely butchered version TCW presented. As a recap, she conspired with anti-war activist Letta Turman to stage a T-word attack on the Jedi Temple by getting Letta's husband to unknowingly walk into a hangar at the Jedi Temple with nanodroids in his system and blow him up. The attack led to approximately 26 people killed, including 8 clone troopers, 12 crew workers, and 6 Jedi, and dozens of others were injured in the attack. As stated in her confession, Barriss became disillusioned to the war and blamed the Jedi and the Republic for losing their way, so her attack was a means of protest. Now, since people only figured out the message of the attack when she herself was caught, the whole thing in general was not well written. Barriss had no reason to blame the bombing on her close friend Ahsoka Tano, and the show uses contrived means to keep her role as the mastermind secret until it can be revealed to the audience. One such example being conveniently choking her co-conspirator from afar somehow, and also conveniently having doctored footage of Ahsoka doing it, both of which break the believability of the universe. Especially since Barriss is a goddamn Padawan in this show. But she managed to become a top-tier threat-level die-hard villain out of nowhere. Also, since Barriss Offee wasn't at all used for a while up until this point, it's too easy to deduce that she's the mastermind. It's just a complete joke. I should also mention that Barriss Offee after this point, via Tales of the Empire, has a completely bullshit arc, where she doesn't face execution for some reason, despite Ahsoka herself finding that was in store for her, if found guilty. And it's not really explained why. She just spends a bunch of time in prison after the fact, and then her statement about the Jedi is recognized as legitimate. And she's given the opportunity to join the Inquisitors, and she succeeds. Then she has a change of heart with committing atrocities, despite previously being willing to kill innocents to protest the war, and basically she abandons the Empire. And yeah, the whole thing is a load of shit. It's also rich that not once does Barriss actually think about the fact that she sold out Ahsoka just for the sake of it. Dave Filoni mostly brushes over that for some reason, and it leads to an unearned and completely unbelievable redemption arc. It might even be worse than Bo-Katan, but that's a story for another time. So the main inspiration for this video was an article written by some dumb fuck at ScreenRant that talked about how Barriss Offee was 100% right in her criticisms. And it's the usual worthless article that doesn't seem to recognize that her point, whether it was valid or not, was offset by a very immoral response: bombing the Jedi Temple Hangar. I'm pretty sure that was the thing about the arc, that whether she was correct or not, she responded in a heinous, extremist way. And that's what invalidated her message to the Republic and the Jedi. So any way you slice it, she was wrong to bomb the Jedi Temple. You also bet I'm very angry that Barriss Offee's original character was retconned in favor for this far weaker, rushed T-word. And given she herself resembles a goddamn Muslim in fact, the symbolism is very iffy anyways. But people seem to take Barriss Offee's speech at the end of The Wrong Jedi and roll with it, ignoring everything surrounding it, and it's that kind of delusional devotion to an extremist that really harms the story. Especially since it basically seems to be all the anti-Jedi advocates who seem to agree with Barriss. It's the same clowns who wanted a second season of The Acolyte, which was a complete dead end. Why am I getting so angry about this? I don't know. I guess I'm just sick of people not being able to assess morality in a story properly. It might be one thing if people fully acknowledged and condemned Barriss Offee's extremist attack, but they kind of shrug it off and focus on the speech all on its own, despite all the terrible things she did along the way that led to that speech. So with that being said, Barriss Offee is by all means the bad guy. Her motivation was complete bullshit anyways, but ignoring that, it was littered with hypocritical conduct that ultimately made her the very thing she swore to destroy. And the message you should take away is something more like losing yourself in the pursuit of protest, that if you want to protest the conflict between Israel and Palestine, don't resort to violence in order to do so. Sure, it's way easier to go on a mass shooting to make your message heard, but all you've really done is justify the conflict and allow it to continue. And the thing is, protesting something that's going on in the world isn't easy, with all the dissident and opposing voices, but you shouldn't try to bring the violence to someone's doorstep so they'll change their minds. As much as activists don't want to hear it, people may take the safety they have for granted, but you're not going to convince people that something has to be done about Israel by stooping down to Israel's level, if that's who you believe is wrong. That's just how it works. I'm sure Osama bin Laden thought that the average American, especially New Yorkers, would be indifferent and not care about the problems he was protesting because of the whole
"I missed the part where that's my problem"
mentality. But all 9/11 did was radicalize the whole country even further against the stuff you were protesting. The United States invaded even more countries, and nothing was accomplished. The dude failed to make his case against the United States sympathetic, because, well, he killed Americans in the pursuit of protest. That is why the T word is seen as poorly as ever, because the thing is, the original definition of the word has been muddled over the past 100 years. It used to simply mean violent actions for political purposes, but now it's universally used as a dirty word, a condemnation of one's methods and actions. And I don't know what Osama bin Laden thought would happen, because he kind of played himself in the long run. So that's my commentary on how violence shapes our society, how taking innocent lives is wrong, and how it doesn't matter if you have a message to spread. You're not going to spread it by killing innocent people. Maybe you should try exclusively going after military targets, which would be open game, and maybe that's far more difficult than taking advantage of lax airport security, but if you want the world to change for the better, maybe don't be an extremist T-word. I'm JJ Plagiarisms, and until next time, what are stories but mystery boxes? Under the mountain.